Oh, I'm a baby and a baby born. I got carried around.
Mommy took me out of the carriage so she could have arms.
Oh, she put me in here so she don't gotta carry me no more.
Ooh, she got a whole stuff, but she can't put me on the ground.
Running errands with mommy and daddy.
Ooh, I look like such a good parent with me carrying my baby around.
Welcome to the Chill Spot Podcast.
Hey, everybody.
We're back again.
Hey. We're totally normal and absolutely fine.
Oh, lordy.
How you been? Oh, buddy.
No,
you know what? Yeah, because you're in retail and Christmas, the holiday season is starting to act up. So.
Well, you know, it hasn't been so bad yet. We're recording this the week of Black Friday. We had to move a recording day.
Yeah.
Because of Black Friday
to
deals.
accommodate for Black Friday.
I'm working.
So the next time that you're in a store on Black Friday and you see a retail employee, you gotta remember they arranged their recording schedule for you. So have a little respect, eh?
Hey, all I'm saying is that there's two people you should say thank you for your service for, and that's soldiers and retail workers.
Man, that's hardly a joke.
Yeah, for real.
That's hardly a joke.
No, man, it's like, I don't mind this time of year because at least it means I'm making lots of money. I've been doing retail for, well, it's the longest job I've ever had.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know, man. It's like, it's both, like...
Well, you started in the Christmas season. Like, you started as a seasonal hire for the Christmas time. And then they were like, this guy knows so much about games and kept you.
This guy's a huge fucking loser.
Wow. It's almost like this guy just, like, sits around and doesn't talk to anybody or see anyone or do anything and just, like, plays video games and talks about video games and reads about video games all day. I short-circuited.
Whoa.
I'm sorry.
What the fuck was that?
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. That was weird.
That was a lot. So, this happens to me all the time. And, like, sometimes I think, like, you know, when I have the money and the insurance coverage and the time to do so, I should, like, go see a therapist about this. Maybe see a speech therapist, because this happens to me enough. But, I'll have a phrase in my mind, and then I'll change what I'm saying halfway through. It's like, you know the part in Mean Girls when Katie Heron tries to say great and then tries to say cool and winds up saying gruel in front of Aaron Samuels and gets all embarrassed?
Yeah, that's a real thing, for sure.
That's my life all the time. I'm 100%. Constantly doing that. Like, that's so me.
I do the same thing all the
time. But then, you know, like, the social justice part of my brain is like, no, you know what? You're a woman. You take your time. You have your platform. You say your speech. Like, make room for yourself. Like, talk. Like, say what you're going to say. Say what you mean. Say what you want to say. So I'm like, in my brain, I'm like doing two things. I'm debating between which two words I want to say, and also like trying to pump myself up and be like, "You're a woman, lean in. It's 2019," and then I just like freak out, and I'm just like, kind of like right now. So like I do that.
Let me get this straight, Sam. You think of two words.
Yes.
You want to say one of them.
Yes.
But then your mind switches halfway through to say the other.
Yes.
And it's somehow in that transition you are crushed under the societal weight
the
of the pressure of being a woman.
Yeah, literally. Like that's you literally just heard oppression. Yeah. That's the sound of oppression.
Right here on the Chill Spot Podcast.
You think it's like more dramatic than that, but like that is the sound of years and years and years of microaggressions taking hold.
Oh?
That's literally what that is, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm not gonna go there because it's too early in the podcast to like
to get political.
No, just to get all like ranty and like a not so chill spot.
Usually we let you guys about the 30-minute mark, and then we'll start saying some political shit.
Yeah. You know, like with the theater thing, I waited for like the last quarter of the podcast to like really go in on you, and I just want to give you that time. I want to make sure you get the content that you're here for.
I hope you guys are enjoying your highway drive, or perhaps your gaming session, or working on whatever you're working on right now.
Yeah.
Politics soon to come.
We should do like a not so chill spot podcast, like an anti chill spot podcast, like a separate podcast where we do exactly what we're doing right now, but we let ourselves get way angrier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because like, when I first...
We have the rule is that we have to stand like 5 feet away from the microphone actually because we just screaming. Start yelling.
Yeah.
As soon as we hit record.
At the end of every episode, we're screaming and crying, and it's totally incomprehensible.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny, right? Because like we've only really gotten like, truth be told, we've gotten like serious or quote unquote on one podcast, episode 10, I believe is what I think it's called, the serious one. And I like to stay away from it just because like, well, I think it's important to stay up on politics and stay informed, and well, I think it's important to...
That's not really a political episode though, is it? Like, I think it's social justice oriented, but I wouldn't call it political.
Well, I think social justice and politics are one and one.
They're not.
To be honest.
I mean, like, they coincide.
It's a political subject.
Yeah, but we didn't talk about, like, politicians or policy.
Well, I'm referring to the umbrella of politics. To finish the thought, the reason why we don't like really getting political on the show is because... you know, I think all of us are inundated with politics every single day, minute of our lives. And if it's possible, I like to give people an hour where they don't have to.
Yeah.
1 hour of the day. That's all I want to give people.
But I think there's something, like, cathartic and healing. And in a way, it does chill me out to just, like, get... my feelings out there about something when it comes up, you know, like
sure.
A couple podcasts ago when we were talking about theater and how, you know, there's a lot of good theater out there and it's a medium that should not be ignored. Like it got serious. We weren't joking around. We weren't riffing off of each other back and forth.
Yeah.
But it felt good to just say like, hey, this is a world that I'm in that not a lot of people actually inhabit. And I think that it's worth inhabiting, and like, you should try and like, see some of it for yourself because it might make you happy, you know, like
yeah.
it's
I don't have any problems with that.
Serious, but like, well, that's what I mean when I say like, you know, like we get serious sometimes. That's really what I mean. You know, like we talk about the things that we love, and it's not always like riffing back and forth forever. It's just...
Right. Well, I think that, yeah, that's also not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like when we make like sweeping political statements or something, and it's like, you know, I don't think neither of us we just consume politics like anybody else, right? And consume the news. And, well, I think it's fine to share your opinion because I think plenty of people do that. I just think that I personally would like to be careful about what I say. What is my computer updating? It has made that noise. I don't know if you guys can pick up on the mic, but it's like, it's made that noise like five fucking times.
It's probably going to actually come through pretty loud and pretty clear.
Yeah.
There was a couple... dings on my phone a couple recordings ago, and like you can really hear it, and it's sitting over there.
Yeah. Well, if it does it again, I'll see if I can do something.
These are halfway decent mics we got going on here.
Yeah, look, I mean, these are, I mean, like, hell, we paid enough money for them.
Yeah,
like,
they should pick up a lot.
Should do their jobs.
Just do it.
But to answer your question, my week has been fine.
Yeah.
It's been a quiet week. Just more work and
more of the same.
Crying.
Buddy.
No, it's funny, right? Because I was thinking to myself, like, it's really easy to get down on yourself. When you like run into someone or like you see someone who's also in your field of art, and it's like they're doing their thing, and it's like, what are you doing? It's like, well, I was working at EB Games. Still, we're slinging video games. I'm a video game dealer.
But those moments come and go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're doing this right now. That's something.
Totally.
You know,
that's the hard part about being an artist, though, right? Like, I've actually been actively working on staying off of like social media. Doing a lot of Tumblr recently, getting back into Tumblr.
Yeah,
which is,
kind of a weird transition. You talk about that.
I'm the only person who's doing that right now.
Who's left on Tumblr? All the porn is gone.
Actually, there's a lot of activity on it. A lot of...
Well, that's good.
And I followed a couple of people that I know in real life, and they blog actively.
Oh, good.
So that was really interesting to see, really cool to see. It's social media, but it's not social media. Like, people don't think to use Tumblr to talk about their shit and like promote their shit. Mm-hmm. So it's actually really peaceful and really nice because it's just people memeing, basically. I come across the odd social media post, but it's mostly just people joking around.
That's good.
And it's really like, it's light, and it satisfies my craving for scrolling. and reading short micro posts, but it's not Twitter. It's not Instagram where everyone is like lying about what they're doing to show you the best versions of themselves.
That really is what Instagram is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just lying.
Yeah, just lying and making everything seem better than it really is.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, I like it. It's nice. It's relaxing.
Yeah. I never got into Tumblr.
My headspace, well, it's not like it's leaps and bounds better, but you know, I notice a difference. And it feels good. It's a welcome change. I'm glad I never actually deleted the app.
I've been meaning to get just like, I don't know, man. Like every now and then, like I'll be like halfway through a Reddit thread that I thought was interesting, and then it's like the lower you go in the comments, the less they've been upvoted.
Yeah.
So like the more like cesspool bottom feeders you find.
Yeah.
And I'll just see a comment that upsets me, and I'm like, fuck this. And scroll.
Totally.
Like I was enjoying this thread, and now I'm fucking upset.
Totally.
Or like I don't know, I'll get on Reddit, and the first thing is like, Donald Trump called a senator the N-word, and
exactly.
it's like
exactly.
You know,
see,
like,
that shit's not on Tumblr, and in the same amount that it is on like Reddit and Twitter. Oh, Twitter. Sometimes like Twitter is such a slot machine. Like you really do take your chances when you open up Twitter, because sometimes it's all lovely, and sometimes it's all just like
just a cesspool.
Yeah, well, like, sometimes it's all just, like, fun, funny, memes, cool threads. Like, right now, there's that thread about, like, controversial food opinions, and I'm actually having a really good time, like, reading people's responses to it and stuff like that.
The first 10 episodes of this podcast is controversial food opinions.
Pretty much. And it was very hard for me I had to try and think of a new controversial food opinion that I haven't said yet, so that I didn't, like, oversaturate my argument. Because I think people are very sick of my potato chip argument. It's not even an argument. It's just a rant. At this point, it has no structure. But, like, it's just such a slot machine. Sometimes it's really funny and wholesome and good. And then other times it's just like, hey, so the world is burning and that makes me feel bad. And you should also feel bad about that, too. Because why wouldn't you feel bad about the world burning? And I'm like, thank you. Yes. No, I actually was thinking about the world burning before I opened up this app, and now you've like hyper reminded me of it, and now I'm gonna like fixate on it all day, and I'm gonna have a shitty day.
I'm just gonna think about that for the rest
thank
of
you.
the day.
I'm glad that you had like a witty tweet that got like 1,000 retweets
good for
and likes. Congratulations.
Did you feel good about that little blue check mark?
Do you feel great about that? Nobody cares on Tumblr. Nobody gives a shit.
That's what's nice about that.
You know?
Well, it's like, I don't know, the thing with Twitter that drives me crazy.
I feel like if you're famous on Tumblr these days, like it doesn't matter. It doesn't do anything. It's like having Bitcoin. Like there's like like one place where you can cash that in, and like it doesn't matter.
Tumblr, like as far as we'll get back to what I was going to say in a second, but Tumblr, like when in its inception, was almost like a DeviantArt-esque like place to share art because it's a visual medium.
Yeah,
people share images and stuff.
Yeah,
it's kind of like it's kind of like Instagram, but like less of like a picture posting and more like art sharing, which I think is really cool. But then with their changes to their infrastructure and banning things like nudity of all kinds, like I think 90% of artists who drew extensively on Tumblr exodus the website.
Yeah.
And now they're on Twitter.
Yeah.
Which is a far less good medium to share art. Twitter's bit compression for like images is fucking garbage.
Yeah.
It makes all pictures look bad, even like really really good ones. Like I like it's really shitty. And
which is crazy because like I still see or find myself seeing a lot of good art on Twitter, and you know like I don't know anything about bit compression or like pixels or you know like digital imaging. I don't know anything about that. So when I see it, it's just like, oh, this is really nice. And like for what it's worth, I do see details. Like I understand artists wanting their art that they have worked so hard on to look exactly like what they see on their device. I sympathize with that, but I'm telling all artists right now, your pictures still look really beautiful.
Well, it's good.
They look really beautiful still, I promise you. I know it hurts because it doesn't look like what you want it to look like. And as a fellow artist, like I sympathize with that deep. But as someone who is not a visual artist by any means, like your pictures still look gorgeous.
Yeah, and that's
really do. And I can still see a lot of detail in them, and I appreciate it a lot. And I make sure to zoom in every single time I see your art.
And that's important to note, right? Where it's like, but the difference between a place like Tumblr and Twitter when it comes to posting art is that if you didn't like a piece of art that you saw on Tumblr, the culture was just like, well, you just keep scrolling.
Yeah.
You'll find something you do like eventually.
Yeah.
Twitter, from its inception, was like come share your opinions on Twitter.
Yeah.
So like if you post your art on Twitter, it's probably and people don't like it, it's gonna get criticized.
Yeah.
Like famously, I shouldn't say famously, there was this picture. This guy did a reimagining of the character Samus from Metroid, where she was like kind of butch and like had like short hair.
Okay.
And she was more muscular.
Okay.
Because like they were leaning into the fact that she's a bounty hunter and like wouldn't be, or well, in this person's mind, like wouldn't be this like gorgeous hourglass shaped woman. It'd probably be more athletic looking and be more like, you know, intimidating because she kills people. It's the whole thing. And then some dude like took her image and like rounded her out to make her look more like female,
like bustier, yeah.
And the whole thing was like, if you're gonna reimagine Samus, like at least give her like feminine features.
If you're gonna reimagine Samus, then we may as well just like draw her exactly as the way that she looks.
Or you should draw her the way that I like it. And like obviously this got tons of negative press, and the dude was like crucified.
Yeah.
The original artist like got a bunch of shares, and like it was ultimately a positive thing. But that is the difference, right? Like Twitter is a place to share opinions, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
It's the fact. It's a fact, right?
Yeah.
And something I've learned about Twitter, and go back to my original point, is that in my younger days, when I was more impressionable, I still am, but when I was more impressionable, I'd read an opinion on Twitter about something I liked and think like, oh, this must be what people think about this.
Yeah.
Now, if I read an opinion on Twitter, I look at myself and go, do I think this about this?
Yep.
And a lot of the time, the answer is no.
Yep. No, I think very much the same way. I was so, especially in regards to like SJW stuff, I was so, like once I realized how many prejudices I held and how honestly like bigoted I was towards things like feminism and honestly even like anti-blackness, like I had it in me too. Homophobia and transphobia was like still inside of me. Like I thought I was pretty like pro LGBT plus the whole way through.
Well,
but
I think
was
you've
like,
come a long way.
You know, there were things in my words and my actions that I wasn't doing that I needed to fix. Yeah, little micro things. And like I was so ashamed that I thought that I was a good person while perpetuating these awful things, that whenever anybody said anything halfway confidently about social justice, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that's like the way it should be. Because I know nothing.
Yeah. You absorbed
I know
a
nothing.
new opinion.
I'm the worst person, so I must not know anything. So I better just believe everything that everybody says because everybody knows more than I do. And like I just gotta learn. I just gotta learn as much as I can. And then now what I've only just realized now, this was when I was like 18, 19. I'm 25 now. So by no means have like eons passed, but you know, I'm only just starting to realize like I'm not a fucking invalid. Like
no. You're university educated. You're not a stupid person.
I do know some things, and you know, when I read something, I can read it and I can look up from my screen and I can think about, like I can repeat the words in my head and see if they make sense to me and go from there as to whether or not I agree with them. I mean, I have to be careful because like you should also be open to changing,
of course,
and you know, like changing your mind when you gain new information about something.
I mean,
but
you can think about a tweet and then agree with it.
Exactly.
But you should think about it.
Exactly. But that's the thing, is that I do that now. I take pause and I think about my values and what I've been taught.
Yeah.
And you know, whether I should rebel from it or go with my instincts and like the things that have been ingrained in me since I was a child. And sometimes more often than what I've been doing lately, it's the latter, you know. It's I got to go with what I know and what I believe to be right.
Yeah.
In the best way possible that harms as little people as possible. So
yeah, I mean, like I share that experience as well. My Twitter feed is far more video game oriented.
Yeah.
Truth be told.
Yeah.
Because in art or whatever. So the thing is, like, in the same vein of you extrapolating that information from Twitter, I do the same thing where it's like I'll read something and be like, that's a shit take. That's a shit take.
It's so freeing when you actually like take the thought process and just go, no, that's a shit take. That's wrong.
Yeah.
That's really wrong.
That's actually a terrible opinion.
Yeah.
So there's this Twitter account that I follow that everyone should follow. It's called @ShittyGamerTakes, and it's literally all this guy does. He just posts like pictures from Twitter where he censors out names and pictures, of course. But he'll censor out the idiot with like a clown emoji.
Right.
And then it's like it's always shit like really misogynistic takes on like games and SJWs and all this shit.
Yeah.
And like it's pointing out how terrible these people are.
Yeah.
My favorite thing in the world to do is when I see a truly, honestly shitty gamer take, I'll reply to that tweet and just tag shitty gamer takes in the tweet.
Yeah.
Not say anything else. Just do that and leave it alone. I never get any replies, and the guy never like quote tweets or anything.
Homeboy's probably inundated with people tagging him and
Totally.
stuff. Or her or they or
whoever. Yeah.
whomever runs that account. But
I hope the person who has that shit take sees that.
Absolutely.
And is like, fuck. Am I a shitty gamer take?
Yeah, totally. Do you have any takes on video games that you think like other people don't agree with? Any like controversial or unpopular or like, you know?
Here's a popular one. Here's the one that a big discourse going around right now. Pokemon Sword and Shield is good. The best Pokemon game ever.
Wow, the best one?
Hands down.
The best one.
The best one.
That's huge. What makes you say that?
Let me explain.
Look, you just settled into your seat a little bit more. You like wiggled your butt a little bit.
Let me full disclaimer right now. This is my opinion alone.
Yeah.
I think these games are the best games in the series because of the quality of life changes and the gameplay elements that have been built upon for 20 years now.
Okay.
So
you think it's sort of the summit of years and years and years of tweaking and doing things that don't work.
Every single Pokemon game, save for Sun and Moon, has been an improvement on the last.
Okay.
And Sword and Shield is a massive improvement over Sun and Moon, in my opinion. Cool. If you can't tell, I don't like Sun and Moon. I didn't enjoy them at all.
That's not unpopular, though. You've told me that's
no. Like, that's a pretty people feel that
unliked.
Way. Yeah, it was a weird bad take on the series. So the reason why Pokemon Sword and Shield are so great, in my opinion, is because the core Pokemon formula of battle the gyms, become the champion, catch Pokemon on the way is fine. It doesn't need to change. It's not broken. It's not inherently flawed. It's a fun formula. There's tons of games that have tried their best to copy it and can never quite capture the charm. So what they did in Sword and Shield was like, what if we just made this system as convenient as possible? You don't have to go back to Pokemon centers to trade out your Pokemon. You can fucking skip tutorials. Like, oh my god. Like, anyone who's played Sun and Moon.
You can skip the goddamn Pokeball tutorial.
It's like, bro, I've been playing Pokemon since 95. I know how to catch a fucking Pokemon.
Yeah.
You know, the wild area is this really cool area. If you haven't played the game yet, you can watch it on our channel. But is this big open area where you can find a bunch of Pokemon just like fucking walking around and shit.
Yeah.
Like, I remember what really clicked with me when you and I were playing it, not on the channel, but I was personally
on
playing
your
it
account,
and you were around. And I was on my bike and I had driven by this like river and there was like a fucking Squovit, which is like the new rodent Pokemon that was like ran in front of me, and there was like
squirrel looking one.
Yeah, but I looked over to the lake, and there was like Magikarp jumping out, and like a big Gyarados came in, and like you were like, "We're here."
Yeah,
like we've been talking about how cool this would be for 20 fucking years
to see Pokemon like out
and
like,
we're
existing
here
in the tall grass and in the water.
We've come so far to the point where we can just catch Pokemon. There's no more random encounters. You can literally hunt. Be like, there's the one I want to catch, and you go get it. That's a massive improvement. I know people are upset because the biggest contention is that not every Pokemon's in the game, which is like a big point of contention for people because normally speaking,
do you want to like wade through a sea of Pokemon then because there's so many?
The thing is, the reason why people are upset and like, let me finish. So the way Pokemon games work is that you play the game and you can only catch a certain amount of Pokemon, and then you beat it, and then you unlock what's known as the National Pokedex, which has every Pokemon. And then they all become available to catch in the world in certain places. So the reason why they didn't do this in Galar, the newest region, is because Game Freak is a team of like 30 people. Which is a very small team for a game developer. Excuse me.
For a game with over 200 species in it right now.
Actually, there's almost 1,000 Pokemon.
Oh, shit.
So imagine having to model, shade, detail, walk animations for 1,000 Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like, people are upset. And now here's what I think that people are valid in their criticisms. I'm gonna say what I think is valid. I think people are valid when they say that this is gonna hurt the competitive scene, because it will. Because Pokemon competitive scene, which I mean, like, I never knew this, is fucking massive. Like, I had no idea it was so big.
What do you mean competitive scene? Like people who like go around and find people to
people who like play Pokemon
online?
competitively.
Okay.
Who like you know there's like fighting game tournaments.
Yeah.
Pokemon tournaments.
Okay.
Like legit. Like and it's crazy.
I didn't know that existed like in real life.
Oh,
but
100%.
I'm not surprised at all.
It's one of the biggest esports. I had no idea. No idea. Because, like, I never really played Pokemon competitively. But, like, we were talking about in the Let's Play, where it's like, we don't keep moves that, like, lower defense or, like, higher speed.
Yeah.
But these competitive Pokemon players are, like, all about that shit.
Yeah.
Like, they literally, like, it's a part of the meta.
Yeah.
So, I think this is going to ultimately hurt that scene, and I think that's a valid criticism.
Okay.
When you're sending the director of the game death threats and threatening to burn down Game Freak's building so soon after the Kyoto Animation fire, I think you're a piece of shit. Like, honestly, I think you're a bad person. I don't give a fuck about how upset you are that your mystical animal friend isn't going to be in your newest game. It's a real person.
Just go back and play. I don't get it. Like, go back and play the game then.
We also live in the age...
Go play X or Sapphire or Emerald or whatever.
These games exist.
Black, white, whatever.
You can go
just,
play them.
Play and then you have it and whatever, dude. Like...
To round up
get it together.
To bring us back to Pokemon Sword and Shield, the game is visually gorgeous. It's so striking and like colorful and fun. The options to customize your character is so cool.
Yeah.
I've seen no.
You and I had a lot of fun on the Let's Play. That's on our channel. Yeah, we had a lot of fun dressing up our character.
We did.
Yeah.
And you know what? On Twitter, I have seen no two characters that look alike.
That's awesome.
It's like so different.
Yeah.
I've seen like the gym leader designs are really cool. These gym fights are now like these big bombastic sporting events, which makes them so much cooler.
Yeah.
And I think, honest to God, the only thing, another valid criticism is that the game has no story whatsoever.
Okay.
It's like completely void of narrative. There's like literally no story.
Okay.
And the reason why is because, you ever play Black and White, Pokemon Black and White?
I haven't actually.
So Pokemon Black and White is one of the only Pokemon games that has a story.
Okay.
Like a really in-depth, they go into the lore of Pokemon.
Cool.
They talk about how like ancient Pokemon used to exist. I think they like talk about like a war.
Okay.
You know, like there was like, it's a crazy story that involves all these different people and like these characters.
Yeah.
Pokemon Black and White tanked in sales.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. I remember people telling me that it wasn't good.
Black and White is one of the best games in the series. Like,
okay, so I gotta stop listening to people then.
In general,
I'm gonna go buy Sun and Moon right now.
Yeah, no kidding. Fuck me, in my opinion.
Fuck you. Yeah, whatever. Maybe I will like it.
People also didn't like Unova, which is the land from Black and White.
Okay.
Because before you beat the game, all of the Pokemon in Unova were 100% original. Like, you know how like in Galar, the newest one, you can like catch a new Pokemon, but there's also like a Pikachu running around.
Yeah.
None of that shit.
Okay.
It was 100% all new Pokemon.
No
familiar faces.
No Magikarp, like
no familiar faces.
No Gyarados, no Lapras.
Which was, you can see where people might have been like, okay,
right.
I mean,
absolutely none.
Even in Pokemon Gold and Silver, which were the first sequels, like had some of the original Pokemon. You know, it wasn't just like. I
would say that they didn't add that many new Pokemon.
I don't know how many they
like
added.
They added like new legendary Pokemon like Ho-Oh and whatnot, but like. You know, I think Gold and Silver were like the first time we saw the unknowns, or was that Crystal when the unknowns showed up?
Those were all the same games, Gold, Silver, and Crystal.
Yeah.
No, they added a bunch of new Pokemon in Gold and Silver and Crystal. I don't remember the exact number.
Okay.
But
I mean, those games were really when I started getting into Pokemon. So as far like in my brain, like I really don't know anything past Gold and Silver. Right. I know a little bit.
Did you grow up with that one?
Yes. Gold, Silver, and Crystal were what I grew up with. I had all of them.
I grew up with
and I played all of them
Sapphire.
Repeatedly, constantly.
Sapphire is my personal favorite Pokemon.
Yeah.
But I do think that, to end my fucking rant, Pokemon Sword and Shield are massive improvements on the formula. It makes everything so easy. It makes everything so fun. Your Pokemon all level up at the same time now.
Yes,
which like both has its pros and cons. Like as a pro, you don't have to grind for 40 hours to get your Pokemon to level 20.
Yep.
As a con, your Pokemon get way stronger super fast. Like, I actually was leveling for a gym, because what I like to do when I play Pokemon is only level my Pokemon to the level of the gym. Yeah. So it's like, if they're like level 20, I want to get them level 20, like no higher. Because otherwise, it's really easy. Yeah. So I fucked up, and I thought that the level was going to be higher. So I trained them to, like, for argument's sake, like level 25.
Yeah.
And they were like level 18.
So like, you crushed them immediately.
So yeah,
like
but the problem is, now that I've crushed them with my team, I just continued to snowball for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Like, because now I'm like 6 levels higher than everybody.
Yeah.
Until I fought the champion, who was like, oh my god, why are his Pokemon so strong? But, you know, It's a fucking great game.
Yeah.
I've honestly logged like 40 hours, and I think I'm gonna get like another 10 or 20 out of it.
Awesome.
Truth be told,
Awesome.
I really fucking like these games. And to anyone who's upset about the goddamn Dexit called Dexit, can you believe that they call it Dexit?
That's a bad choice of words.
Or
suffixes or whatever.
Give me a fucking break.
Yeah.
We live in the age of the internet. There's no reason why Game
Dex,
Freak...
are you talking about like the phone thing that has the Pokédex on it?
Yeah, the national Dex, the national Pokédex is being
Okay.
removed from Galar.
Yeah.
Which is the new games.
Yeah.
So people called it Dexit. The crazy fans. So it's like, listen.
Okay.
If you're one of these,
That's not even okay.
if you're of the opinion that Dexit is bad and you have a bunch of valid criticism and you want to share those criticisms with Game Freak in a constructive and positive way, or not even positive, just constructive way,
Yeah.
that's great. I think Game Freak deserves criticism. I do think that they're not a perfect game company. And I do think that they need to change some things about their structure. Because while Pokemon Sword and Shield are, in fact, massive improvements, they are, however, when you look at it from outside in, the same game it was 20 years ago.
Right.
Well, I am of the opinion that it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, we also have, like Zelda wasn't broke either, but then they made Breath of the Wild.
Totally.
And proved to everyone that maybe it was
better.
broke, actually. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, I would love to see them really get innovative, but at the same time, Pokemon does yearly releases.
Yeah.
It's like fucking Call of Duty.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
Battlefield.
Breath of the Wild was years in the making, and Game Freak has essentially changed the format of a Pokemon while still maintaining its like once a year cycle. That's impeccable.
And Pokemon isn't just games anymore. Pokemon is a brand.
Yep.
It's
With
owned by a
Pokemon
company.
Go and like
Yeah. It's owned by a company called Creatures Inc. or the Pokemon Company. But people at home, you have to understand that, like, the reason why Game Freak can't delay Pokemon games is because they got toy releases lined up.
Yeah.
They got anime releases lined up.
Yes.
Trading card games lined
Yes.
up. You delay the game, it fucks all that
you delay
shit
the
up.
entire universe. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's more than just like, you know, oh, we'll just delay it, whatever. No, that's millions of dollars down the drain.
Yeah.
It would be like devastating for them to
Yeah.
do that.
I feel like
What's up?
no, I can't compare it to Her Interactive. I have to get my facts a little bit straighter, but one day I would love to tell the story of Her Interactive and what's happening with the Nancy Drew computer games.
I would love to hear about that too.
It's actually so fascinating, and makes you want to rip your hair out, and it's also so sad.
Right.
When you are somebody who has grown up with the games, and have a lot invested in them, and you know there are facets of my personality that were shaped by these games.
Yeah.
And to see it go the way that it's going is depressing.
Starting
to say
this
the
game
least.
channel with you has been eye-opening because I've learned that like okay, I'm gonna get back to what I really want to hear what you have to say, but I'm gonna do this whole thing now where when I first met Sam, she was like, "Oh, I'm into video games." I was like, "Cool, me too."
Yeah.
I slowly learned that Sam is into a video game, and it's the Nancy Drew series.
No, I also played Pokemon and Animal
What else?
Crossing and The Sims.
Oh my god. All you need, Sam, is to get into Zelda and you are like top tier fake gamer girl. Which I don't believe in. There's no such thing as a fake gamer girl.
No, of course not. But
If you even play phone games, you're a fucking gamer.
honestly, if people would just play these games, like if people would just play these games and like don't get caught up on the graphics, don't get caught up on the character movements, just get lost in the story. They
She's
are
saying that 'cause
such
I
good
reacted
games,
poorly.
and just the learning experience that you can get from them. Like they're so good. They're so good.
They are. I think those games are very charming.
Yeah.
Truth be told, I understand. Like, okay, so there's a Let's Play that we could talk about.
Well,
that's
like,
never gonna come
and
out.
you know, you haven't seen a game through to the end.
No.
I feel like once you see a game through to the end, you will change your tune. Because yes, they're charming. Yes, okay, they're charming. They're quirky. You know, they have
Convoluted.
there are things that are wrong with the game that the fans just kind of get over and love about it anyways, and that's kind of the beautiful thing about it is that like despite the things that are holding it back from truly being like a AAA machine, people love it anyways, and there's like this beautiful cult following of it. And now the fans have just completely turned around on it and just it's like the scene in I Am Legend where Will Smith realizes his dog is now a zombie. Like it's like that's the fans. We all just like turned around one day and we're like, ugh,
That's very upsetting.
That's my impression of a dog growling. It's bad. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad one of us can voice act. But yeah, it's fascinating and it's sad and it's funny and it's enthralling to watch go down. It really is. And then you go back and play a game and you're just like, why did you change anything? Why did you think that this was broken? Why did you bring it?
Well, I mean, so like to give people some context, Her Interactive had a change in leadership, which then led them to repurpose their most recent game in a new engine.
Yep.
But all of the programmers who were employed at Her Interactive,
they laid most of them off. If not all of them off.
Those who survived were so used to coding in this one type of engine.
Yeah.
You know what I think is ridiculous? So like they switched to the Unity engine for anyone who listens out there.
I don't remember what one they were in before, but it was very.
It's probably built for those games.
It was very staggered, especially in the old games. Like there are old games where like you want to walk down a hallway and you have to like click each time you want to walk down that hallway, and you're just like click 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 click
well,
like getting there.
Like, point and click adventure games were literally that. You point and you click. That's what you do. That's what you do.
It's really point and clicky.
So the thing is, like,
point and clicky.
If anyone has played a Nancy Drew game, and I think there's a handful of people who listen who have. My thing, there's a Let's Play that's never going to come out, unfortunately, because of issues with how we recorded it.
Yeah.
It otherwise was really fun.
Yes.
Like we had a lot of laughs and like. We played
Labyrinth of Lies.
Nancy Drew Labyrinth of Lies.
Yeah.
And my biggest takeaway / issue from the games is that me as a detective, it's one thing to be a detective and search for clues and find clues, but at the end of the day, I'm playing a video game.
Yeah.
It's like the game Nancy Drew doesn't help you at all. Like it's like you have to find stuff, and then you yourself have to connect the dots to see how that's relevant.
But you're not a huge puzzle person,
and I think that's I think that's really interesting, and I actually disagree with that. I love puzzles. It's just the thing when it comes to puzzles is that like a puzzle isn't a puzzle if there's a piece missing, right? If you like a puzzle is a puzzle if you have all, it becomes a puzzle when you have all the context for it.
I disagree. Because it's a mystery, right?
Right.
So it's a combination mystery and puzzle game. So like, yeah, pieces of the puzzle are missing, but pieces of the puzzle go in with the plot. At least in some of the better games, there's some games are not as good as others, and some games, like Ransom of the Seven Ships, is notoriously everybody's least favorite game because you're kind of just like, okay, so this pirate left this book behind. Let's consult this book every single time we need to find something. You don't have to talk to anybody, hardly ever. And you don't really have to go looking for anything because you get this book pretty early on into the game, and then it's just sort of about unraveling what the book is talking about as it goes on.
Sure.
So whenever I would look for like hints on like UHS hints, it would be like consult the book, consult the book, consult the book, consult the book, and I'm like I'm actually looking at hints now in the hopes that it will say you have to talk to this person to trigger this action, or you have to walk into this room and touch this thing to trigger this event or something like that. Whereas I'm like literally just reading, and it's like if I wanted to read, I would just read a Nancy Drew book and figure it out as I go along. For fuck's sakes, I am playing a goddamn video game.
Right.
Like holy shit.
Yeah, like to give an example of what I'm talking about, like a lot of old Zeldas suffer from this, where it's like you're in a dungeon and you got to get past this thing, and like you're sure that this is the forward path, like it's led you to here, and you can't get past this obstacle because you don't have the right item yet.
Yeah.
It's like that's not a puzzle. That's finding a key to a door.
See, I kind of love that. I love like finding something and it's like, oh, it's really not working. Like it's really, really, really not working. I think I have all these keys and blah, blah, blah. I got to do something. I have to do something. So you go around and you talk to everybody again, and you click on every single thing that you can think of that may unveil an item that you haven't found yet, or you maybe it's a book heavy space. Her Interactive did that a lot, where like you would have to consult. There would be a library somewhere, or someone would have like a secret collection of books, or there was a journal that somebody had left behind that they didn't want you to read, but you found and you took it anyways because Nancy's a fucking kleptomaniac, and that's another like quirky thing that the fans pockets. Like love about her.
The reading,
you have to go back and find something to like trigger that piece. I'm like, okay, I'm not necessarily looking for a puzzle piece. I'm looking for a trigger. I'm looking for
Yeah, okay.
something to unravel the next set of events that will push this story forward. What is it? What is it?
Yeah.
What is it? It's driving me crazy. What is it?
I'm not saying that's... I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's unsatisfying. I'm just saying that it's not really a puzzle. So, like, for instance, something I really loved about those Nancy Drew... Remember we had to do that puzzle about the seating arrangements?
Yes.
That was so much fun. Like,
The
that's
logic
a puzzle.
puzzle. The logic puzzle, yeah.
Logic puzzles are my shit.
Yeah.
I'm not, like, super good at them, but I really do
Neither.
like them.
I'm pretty trash at them. They're my least favorite, but
There was this one thing when we were fucking with these pieces, and then we discovered that the last piece was missing or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but it was like, oh well, now we gotta find this thing.
Yeah.
Which of course becomes within itself becomes its own narrative loop, and
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
But when I'm like, okay, like we're gonna solve a puzzle, and I'm like,
you want to sit down and have all the
could you
pieces
imagine
and
like
figure it out.
Like think of like a jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
Imagine doing the entire jigsaw puzzle and the last piece is missing.
Yeah.
It's like, well, this fucking sucks ass. But of course, something else I really like about the Nancy Drew games is that the narrative, you really do have to pay attention.
Yes.
Like you can't fuck about.
Yep.
Which is honestly what made the Let's Play so hard.
Yeah, that's why I didn't recommend it in the first place, is because you have to read every word and you really have to pay attention
The
to what the
characters
person
do
is
not
saying.
repeat themselves.
No.
It's not kind in
Nope.
that regard.
No,
you
it's
fucking
very-
miss something? That sucks.
That's why people love like Arglefump, who's the like biggest Nancy Drew Let's Player
Shout out to Arglefump
in the world,
Come on
or
the
like
podcast.
or like UHS hints. Like shout out to like the person or persons who write the UHS hints for Nancy Drew games. Those are beautiful and great, and like thank God you pay attention where I don't, because sometimes it's like woo, like I miss it completely.
Well, I remember
it's
like
remember this thing that this person said, and I'm like, oh shit, I
do not actually.
yeah. There's a game called The Deadly Device, which is personally not one of my favorite games.
Deadly device.
Not one of my favorite games personally, but it is a good game, and it is well liked by the fandom. But it takes place in a science lab.
Cool.
And it's all Nikola Tesla themed.
Ooh,
so
neat.
like electricity and science and math and STEM. It's very STEM heavy, and that is not my world. That is not my world. And there were so many times where I would consult the UHS hints page for it. It's like, remember when this person said this thing? And I was like, oh
No.
yeah, because I was like knee deep in like binary code jargon, and I stopped paying attention.
my
I'm
eyes
sorry.
glazed over like
I'm sorry.
10 hours ago.
Yeah, exactly. I was asleep at the wheel. So, yeah, it's not kind in that sense. But I kind of appreciate that it's not kind. I appreciate the fact that it doesn't hold your hand, and you do have to pay the fuck attention, and you do have to read, and you have to learn. They're educational games. They're trying to get young kids, especially like women and femmes, into things like STEM, into history, into
And for that, I commend
science,
them.
and into coding, and like,
And I think that's a
and
really beautiful
being
thing.
a boss, and not taking any shit, and not letting people scare you. You
Yeah.
know, like that's one of the biggest things that the Nancy Drew games taught me. Like this is gonna sound so stupid, but there have been times where I'm literally scared to do something, or I'll be in like a scary new environment, and people are intimidating me. And I literally just think, like, if this were a Nancy Drew game, I wouldn't have a choice. You know, like to this day, there's only one Nancy Drew game that I haven't completed, and that's Shadow at the Water's Edge. But every other game I push through, and every other game, no matter how hard the puzzles get, no matter how dead end I think I am, no matter how much I'm like, oh, I can't think of the next thing to trigger the event, I figure it out and I push forward. And I'm like, if this were a Nancy Drew game, I wouldn't stop. And this is real life, so I'm especially not gonna stop. And it gave me that. And like, I just love what the company has given to young like women and girls in that sense, that like that stick-to-itiveness.
Yeah.
And
What would you do as Nancy Drew?
it makes me really sad to think that could possibly be coming to an end. If this game bombs, if their newest game, Midnight in Salem, which the downloads for it start on December 3rd, we're sitting at November 26th right now. Coming up soon, if this game fucking bombs, and people already hate it, like they've released renderings for almost all of the characters, they released like a teaser trailer, they released the cover art, which everybody hates everything so far, and it's not without it's fair. I think they're being a little bit hard on them, but it's
Do you think there's a little bit of toxicity in the community?
No, I think there's just a lot of safeguarding. I'm not the only one. I think it's safe to say that I've just said what everybody in the fandom feels about these games and how important they are, because
Right.
we're such a cult following. You know, it's even more important to us because it's our game.
Right.
And they're fucking it up. We think, and if
Seems that
if it
way.
plays out when the game downloads on December 3rd,
Well,
like it's gonna be bad, and I'm gonna lose my game series, and it sucks.
that's a damn shame.
Yeah, it is a damn shame.
Like, two comments. First, they were switching to Unity, which is a
Yeah.
really free-form Unity game engine. Like, it's
Yeah.
like a lot of companies use Unity to make
Yep,
their games.
yep.
Like, Cuphead was made in Unity.
Yep.
Look how gorgeous Cuphead is.
Totally.
Right? Like, Cuphead is a fucking great game.
Totally.
The thing that struck me as, like, someone who's very, like, outside in when it comes to Nancy Drew is that the games have a very unique look. Like,
Yeah.
it's safe to say.
Yeah, they've changed a lot over the years, but yeah,
They
more
made
or
this
less.
jump to Unity in an effort to make a more modifiable engine, and the games look worse.
Yes.
It's like, how?
That is
though?
everybody's biggest complaint. You know, you have people going back to even the oldest games, like the first 5 games, where like things look rough. Like
Yeah.
the shadowing and stuff on some of those games is just like, oh my god. There's actually there's a character in the newest game, Midnight in Salem, that we've actually already met before, and I believe the 19th game, which was Alibi in Ashes. It's Deirdre. It's Nancy's frenemy,
Okay.
kind of. And people had their criticisms of Deirdre's movements when Alibi in Ashes came out, but now that she's in Midnight in Salem and we've seen her rendering, people are like, how did you make an already so-so character worse?
Right.
In what is supposed to be a better engine? How the fuck did you do that? How? It's awful. There are parts about her that are good, but on the whole, come on.
I do think that ultimately it's a miracle this game is coming out, because
Yeah.
when you something that's been really interesting about this whole experience with you and her interactive is that you had your very first experience with a shit game company.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to sound like I'm sitting on a throne here, but it's like I've had my fair share of games just bomb or not come out, or
Yeah.
get lost in development hell and never get released.
Yeah.
So when you were telling me oh, they fired the CEO and they replaced her and they laid off a bunch of people and blah blah blah, I hope the game is good. I didn't have the heart to be
it's probably not going to be good.
I don't think that game is.
Well, I remember you
out.
telling me not to hold my breath for it to come out at all.
At all, yeah.
You were like, they might just fold and never.
That happens.
Yeah.
Look what happened to Telltale.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
People Telltale, when The Walking Dead came out, were the fucking kings of games.
Yeah.
They could do no wrong.
Yeah.
Then they started releasing 9 games a year.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, well, not all of them are very good.
Yeah.
And then they folded.
Yeah.
Which also there's a whole bunch of controversy.
That's the thing about
around
Nancy
that.
Drew too, is that we used to get 2 games a year. We would get one in the fall and one in the spring.
That's so unsustainable.
But there were really good years where you would get I'm trying to think. I think what came before Sea of Darkness? I can't remember.
Shadow Ranch.
No, but that's another really good fucking game. Don't make fun of it.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite title.
I know. It's actually that's one of the few games that are based on an
Ranch.
actual Nancy Drew book.
Oh, no way.
From the original series, when they first came out. I think it's book number 9 or something
Hilarious.
like that. It's Secret of Shadow
Are
Ranch.
they still releasing Nancy Drew books under different
Yeah.
authors and shit?
Oh, totally. Carolyn Keene is a pen name. So
yeah, it's kind of like
thousands
Dr.
of
Seuss.
authors, exactly. Thousands of authors write under Carolyn Keene and release Nancy Drew in different formats for different age groups.
Is the original Carolyn Keene dead?
I don't think we ever really knew who she was.
No, she's not. She's
I think
a.
It wasn't very
total
long into the
mystery.
Nancy Drew series before other people started
It's not
writing
like a
under
Conan
that name.
Doyle, where it's
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, where was I going with? What was I talking about?
Talking about her interactive. Talking about Nancy Drew.
Yeah.
Talking about the game folding.
The game folding, worrying about the game folding and stuff like that. Yeah, you were warning me about how you're just preparing me for the worst. Pardon me, I burped. You were just preparing me for the worst, and I was like, wow, that sucks. That really sucks.
That's the reality, man.
And I don't know any other games like this. To be perfectly honest.
Like Nancy Drew.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you meant not games that never came out. And I was like, I could name a few.
No, there are definitely, and there are good. I like the Telltale games. I haven't finished Wolf Among Us, but I finished the first Batman, which I loved.
Yeah,
and,
you really enjoy. You have the second one as well.
I know I need to play it. I really need to play it. But it's also it was. I loved it, but it was very dark.
Yeah.
The first Batman
Kinda ruined
was
your mood a little
so
bit.
dark. Yeah, it was so good, but just so. I mean, that's what Batman is to me. Batman always ruins my day.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
I mean, it's dark.
he doesn't make me feel good about
the whole
myself.
fucking
ever.
thing is that he's dark.
I always walk out of Batman stuff, movies, video games, TV shows, whatever, and I'm just like, yeah, no, the world is just really unrelenting and like, unforgiving. And, you know, like I too was once in a shell perfect world in my childhood where I thought that everything was beautiful, and it's just not that way anymore, and
Right.
it never will be again, and I'll never get back there.
Oh dear.
There are genuinely people out there who want to hurt me. There really are.
Sam, come back. Sam, come on. We were doing so good at this podcast.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm trying to be optimistic, and I'm going into this game thinking I want to like this game.
Yeah.
I want to like this game. I'm kind of pissed off that they're coming back after such a long hiatus with a scary game, because I hate the scary games. They scare me, and I don't like it, and I don't like being scared. If any of you have watched our Blair Witch playthrough on our channel,
Halloween
we have
special.
a YouTube channel, Halloween special, you will see that I do not like scary games.
It's going to be the last scary game we ever play.
You will see that I do not like scary games. So I don't appreciate it, but I'm gonna push through. I'm gonna keep it pushing.
Yeah.
All the way through.
Well, you know what? To cap this conversation and Nancy Drew and Pokemon, go buy the new Nancy Drew game when it comes out, because they're always cheap.
That's the other thing too, is that you should support Her Interactive, because they're an American company. They don't outsource any of their work.
Mm-hmm.
They use a third-party service to sell their games online, but please buy through the website. You can get them on Amazon and stuff like that, but like,
you can also buy
Steam,
them digitally on Steam.
But like, you can also buy them digitally from the company.
Right.
Please do.
If you are interested, play.
If you can, yeah, and they're not expensive either. They're like $20.
Super inexpensive.
They're like $20,
and they go on sale constantly.
Yeah.
I don't need to tell you to support Pokemon, because it's the #1 most profitable franchise in the world.
Yeah.
But I will say confidently that Sword and Shield are massive improvements on the Pokemon formula.
Yeah.
And I think if you buy them, you will enjoy them.
Yeah.
And there's one more thing. I meant to bring this up before we switched to Nancy Drew. But the thing that bothers me about these fans and these idiots who are getting really mad is that we live in the fucking age of the internet.
Yeah.
They can add Pokemon to the game through updates.
Yeah.
They could do events. They can be like, oh, for this weekend only, like, you can catch a Charmander.
It's like, don't be mad yet.
You know?
Don't be so pissed off yet.
Games have changed, and this is a kind of a shit. Like I wonder about Nancy Drew might go in this direction as well. But games as a service has become a thing. Like Overwatch is a good example of that. If everyone who's listening probably heard of Overwatch at least once.
Yeah.
It's called a live game. That's what these games are called. Live games are games that don't need... Well, Overwatch is getting a sequel, but they don't need sequels because they're constantly updating
Adding
the game.
stuff to it. That's
so
making it new.
you buy the game once, and then it gets updates, and then you don't need to buy it again. Unless you want to buy it for like a new console or something.
Totally.
So, Pokemon has the potential to be a live game. They could do weekend events where you can catch Pokemon that you couldn't get at first, like Pokemon Go does. They can do events where it's like, oh, they soft updated and added more story in this area. Go to this area and expand the story. I think that is a brilliant idea, and I hope that they do that.
Yeah.
Nancy Drew, I really hope that this new game, what's it called?
The new game? Midnight in Salem.
Midnight in Salem.
Or Mid for short.
Mid? Just call it Mid?
Yeah. If you're like spelling it out, it's like MID, all caps.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Nancy Drew Mid, I'm hoping, it's my heart of hearts that deep down I really hope that they are improvements. At the very least, like maybe it's not visually improving, but maybe they do some really cool gameplay stuff that really changes things up and makes things better.
That's what I'm hoping. And that's the other thing the fans have a problem with, is that there's like no examples of gameplay.
Have they released no gameplay at all?
Nope.
That's troubling, to be honest.
Yeah.
If I can be perfectly honest.
I know.
That's a little like...
I know.
Well, you know what? We'll play it.
There's like
we'll play it on the channel.
There's one teaser. I'll show you the teaser trailer.
I've seen the teaser.
Have you?
I looked it up, yeah.
Okay.
It's like the thing with the fog and like the phone call.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. Oh no, the one where like it ends with like the hand like on the window. There's another one.
Oh, really?
There's another one, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. I also think that trailer that you saw, which is it was at the end of Sea of Darkness, their last game. I don't think it's relevant anymore because it was made in the old engine.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the game doesn't even look like that anymore.
So maybe I've been working off this wrong impression this whole time.
I mean, maybe you hate it even more because the fans sure do. Yeah.
I mean, I have no opinion on Nancy Drew. I just think they're cool games. I think it's neat how you have to
I think what you got to do is you got to watch me go through one. It's kind of like how like it's more fun to watch you play Uncharted than it is for me to play Uncharted.
Right.
Because you have to watch somebody who is capable
Wow.
of doing it.
Yeah.
Go through it all.
Well,
and has the patience for it. Because I don't have the patience for shooter games, but you do. Mm-hmm. You don't have the patience for the Nancy Drew format. I do. Yeah. So.
Well, there's a good idea. Maybe we'll do that.
Yeah.
once we get a computer that can really help us record PC games, we'll get a bunch going. Yeah, that'd be fun as hell.
I would love that. I would love nothing more than that. Because Nancy Drew is really my niche.
Yeah,
that's my crook of the video game world.
You know more about Nancy Drew than I do about just about anything.
She's my favorite Tishan hair detective.
She's really cool. I really love the character.
She's so badass.
I'm afraid about the CW show though.
I'm not.
No?
No, it's just like Riverdale, you know?
It's going to be sexy.
Yeah, it's going to be sexy. I mean,
characters going to kiss and stuff.
I'm very active on so the Clue Crew, which is the fan name for people who follow the games and the books to a certain extent, but mostly the games.
Yeah. That's cute.
Have been like some of them have been watching Nancy Drew, like the TV show, like the CW show, and have been like talking about it on Twitter. They're very active. Oh, sorry, not Twitter, Tumblr. They're very active on Tumblr. There's actually a really, really huge community. Very cute. It's great. Not great reviews so far, but they're only 2 episodes in, so there's still time for things to get twisted and weird.
Get all fucked up. So I would say then lesson number 1 is to support Her Interactive.
Yeah. Buy the games.
The games are really good.
If you can
hear that noise, it's my dad freeze wrapping things.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Right now.
It's okay. It's Monday. We don't actually usually record on today.
That's fair. But yeah, if you have young girls in your life, I highly, and boys too, totally boys too.
Totally.
People post about how they play these games with like their nephews and their sons, and they love it, and that's awesome. But for little girls, and like femmes, and just like the whole rainbow of like
it's a very magical experience.
I highly recommend these games.
Yeah.
They encourage leadership.
Yeah.
They encourage stick-to-itiveness. They encourage problem solving.
Yep.
And never giving up.
Well, okay.
And believing in yourself.
Let me share an example.
Support that company.
I'm a dude.
Yeah.
A cis male.
Yeah.
I'm a white cis male.
Yeah.
The most evil person in the world.
Okay.
I'm kidding, of course. But I played these Nancy Drew games the same when the Let's Play that unfortunately never come out. But I had an amazing moment where we were like looking for something and we couldn't figure it out, and we found it in a book.
Yep.
And it was like the 3rd book we read.
Yeah.
And I remember actually being like, I had a fucking aha moment.
Yeah.
And it all clicked
together.
Like,
bitch, yeah,
we fucking got him. We got him.
Fuck yeah, hell yeah.
And it was
feels
awesome.
So good.
And you did that. Like
you did that.
The game wasn't like go to this waypoint and then watch this cutscene.
Yes.
No, I went to a fucking bookshelf and read 3 goddamn books.
And triggered an event because of your hard work.
And I found something, yeah.
Yeah.
Found something relevant.
It's so rewarding.
It is really, really great.
So rewarding. I want to play Nancy Drew games so bad.
Lesson 2 is lighten up on Pokemon, for God's sakes. Crying out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could do better. Of course the games can improve. But Sword and Shield are not the worst Pokemon games.
No.
For fuck's sake.
No, I don't think that either. From what little I've seen of the game and you playing it, like, it's fucking fun. Like, just play it.
I've been having a fucking blast.
Yeah.
I haven't had this much fun playing a Pokemon game, seriously, I think since, like, Diamond and Pearl.
Yeah.
Like, truth be told.
Yeah.
What's the 3rd lesson, Sam?
The 3rd lesson of today is that we...
Get there.
Cameron, and Sam... I keep adding words, hoping that something will come.
Nothing.
I got nothing.
Lesson number 3 is to communicate with your friends more about anything.
Yeah, I took a risk today with a friend of mine, and we don't have the relationship where we share memes, but I saw something that was just like too relevant to something that she likes and her interests, and I thought, you know what? I think we don't do this normally, but I think it'll make her feel good that I'm thinking of her and her interests.
Yeah.
And it's less about whether or not she likes the meme and more about, like, you appreciate me putting myself out there.
Oh.
I don't have an answer yet. She's very bad at texting.
That's okay.
But I hope she does, and I hope that you out there take the chance to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I could put that into a sentence, lesson number 3 is to, if you think that a small action will make make someone feel better today, you should do that.
As my Aunt Chrissy always says, if you think it's the right thing to do, you should do it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Shout out to Aunt Chrissy.
Shout out to Aunt Chrissy.
Please invite us over for dinner again. I'm so hungry. Go subscribe.
She always has good food.
To our YouTube channel.
Yes.
If you're probably listening to this on a streaming service, we have a YouTube channel.
Yes.
Where we do game stuff. And there's going to be more videos going up there soon. Expect more podcasts on the way.
Always.
Expect more, like, I mean, when I say new podcasts, I also mean, like, a different podcast than this one.
I feel like we've been teasing that and like literally mentioning it for a long time.
But we're actually doing it now.
We're working on it. We are working on it.
Development is hard.
Yes.
Support us any way you can, please.
Stop not demanding things from me. It's too much pressure. Oh my God, the fans.
30 people who listen to our podcast, there's so much pressure.
I can't handle it. Leave me alone. I'm but a person, just a small one person.
We'll be back same time next week, Tuesday at 3 p.m. These streaming services, with a little bit of a change now. The YouTube video will always go up at 3 p.m., but the streaming services will actually go live earlier.
Whenever they want to.
Because Podbean, God bless the company, has been a little frustrating and has not been uploading when I wanted to. So I always set it to around like noon 1.
Yeah.
And sometimes it goes up at noon 1. Sometimes it goes up at 3. Regardless, if you see the episode live on Spotify, it's not a glitch.
Yeah.
Listen to it.
Yeah.
You might like it.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, folks.
Love y'all.
See you next week.
Bye.